Tremonti.
What's happening?
Hey, how are you doing, dude?
How you doing, Elliot?
I am doing very well, thank you. You know what the weirdest thing is to me right now, Mark?
What's that?
How is Pawns and Kings the 7th record from Alter Bridge already?
Oh, no kidding, man. How is it 20 years later?
I know, right? Doesn't it not seem that long?
It's nuts. I mean, well, it doesn't seem that long until you look at pictures of us when we were starting the band.
Okay, that's a fair point.
Dumb little kids.
Now, let me ask you this. If you look back over, like this is number 7, right? And like you said, it's been, let's just call it a handful of years. Do you feel like you're at the point, and I'm asking this for a reason, where if you look at Pawns and Kings, do you feel like you're at a point where you're doing your best work right now?
I think if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. So it's we try to stay at least artistically satisfied and keeping ourselves on point with learning new things and digging deeper into what we do. We don't want to just repeat ourselves. So hopefully we're more well-rounded 20 years later. Because
I'll tell you, the record is fantastic. It is so good, Mark. It really is.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
I want you to explain something to me, though, about the record. I saw something where you were talking. I don't remember who you were talking to. But you had said that the record, you felt that it was a very complicated record. What does that mean?
It's dense. There's a lot going on. Like, just like last night, I was sitting down to get ready for this tour and just going over some songs. And it's like, damn it, another part. Damn it, another part. So it's a lot to memorize. There's a lot to go over. The songs aren't just kind of simple verse, chorus, bridge, chorus kind of songs. And I think that's what we've tried to develop, are songs that tell a story, not to be long just for the sake of being long, but just take you on a journey that's just not your typical song structure. So
then I have to ask you 2 questions based on that. Number 1, is that intentional or is that organic?
Yeah, I think after we recorded the song Blackbird on our second record, we felt like that was one of our strengths in the band, was to kind of let a song breathe and tell a story and not have to force a 3.5-minute song. I think the more and more we've been together as a band, we've just kind of developed into that kind of thinking as for songwriting. We don't want to over edit a song just because it needs to be short and everybody's attention spans are short. Right.
Well, I mean, hell, you got one in there that logs in at like 8.5 minutes.
Yeah, that's our longest song we've ever recorded. So it's, you never know. Our next record, we might have the 20-minute song. Who knows if it makes sense.
Mark, I get through 2 cigarettes during that song, just so you know.
There you go. You can take cigarette breaks, coffee. Just push play.
But then, like you said, just last night you were getting ready for the tour, and I mean, keep in mind you toured the latter part of 2022 overseas in Europe, and then there was like the holiday break. I understand that, and then the U.S. tour will kick off. What is it, a week from now in Tampa? Like. You don't forget what you're doing during, I mean, it hasn't been that long, Mark. You should be able to remember. I mean, you were just on the road doing it.
Oh, I forget. I definitely forget. I have 17 studio albums right now, so they are all floating in my brain. So I need to, I was working last night on new songs we haven't played. We're going to break out 3 new songs we've never played on this next tour. So I was going over some of those. But I'll just take one day to go over what we did on the last tour. But as far as learning these new songs, it's one thing sitting down with your guitar on your lap at home when you're all comfortable and by yourself. But when you're in front of a bunch of people and the lights are down, you're doing a show, you got to make sure that you've got that muscle memory kicked in. So you got to go over the songs plenty of times.
So I mean, obviously you were going over, and I get that they're going to be new to perform while you're out on the road. But Mark, are you one of those guys where like you can't rehearse enough?
Not necessarily. It's, I love practicing the guitar a ton, but as far as the rehearsals go, this last Alter Bridge tour we did, we had over a week of rehearsals. I thought it was way too much. I think if you have 3 good days, that's all you really need. As long as you just familiarize yourself with the stuff before you get together with the band, 2 or 3 days through it. If you haven't played in a year, if Now we're only doing 1 day of rehearsal for this next tour because we just got off that tour.
Right. But was it like when you said you had to do a full week? Is it whose fault is that? Like everybody else was done at 3 days, but who wasn't getting it?
Well, it's because we needed to put together the whole production for this new tour. We had to set the light rig up. We had to set the video screens up. We had a whole bunch of new guys on the crew. So a lot of it could have been 3 days of actual song rehearsals. A lot of it had to do with getting your in-ear monitors kick in and your front of the house dialed in. And, it's more than just going through the songs. It's the whole production.
And I would assume that obviously you like every song on the record or you wouldn't have put it out. But can I tell you what song I love?
Yeah, for sure.
Silver Tongue. I love that song. I don't know. I don't know why I like that one more than anything else on the record, but God, I love that song.
Well, that's great because we start the whole show with it usually. So.
Oh, hell, you know what? I'll be out of the show in 10 minutes. This is fantastic.
Just come see your favorite song and go have a cigarette.
And then, Mark, one other thing that I was reading is, I guess you were talking about how specifically Pawns and Kings is such an important record for Alter Bridge. If you go back to the last record that came out and what would be kind of, I don't want to say a typical record cycle, but a cycle that goes on doing what you do for a living, that one kind of got screwed up. Not in terms of whether it was good or not, but just the actual cycle of the record got screwed up.
It did, and it's such a heartbreaking thing for somebody for a group of people that put all their time and effort into a record. You put all your heart and soul into records, and you spend countless hours working out your stuff, and then you put it out. COVID happens, you can't tour on it. And now that record will probably be the one that's the least familiar with the fans. Because I think a lot of what builds these songs are the live connection between fans seeing these songs played live, and now that record just kind of got screwed and we're only playing 1 or 2 songs from it every night. So we gotta maybe one day we'll do a anniversary show where we do the whole record or something just to give it its day.
So the tour will kick off in Tampa. That makes sense. I'm assuming because of the connection that you were like, where I want to spend Valentine's Day? I'm going home to Detroit.
Hey, you know what? I love Detroit. That's my stomping grounds. But yeah, it just worked out that way. Detroit for Valentine's is perfect.
A lot of you have no idea how many people say that.
Everyone
Mark
says that.
Perfect for me, darn it.
I saw somewhere where you talked about how every year you make a resolution for New Year's. And that this year, your resolution was that you were going to learn something new on the guitar every single day. Am I right about that?
Yeah, that was my resolution. I've probably stuck to it. Maybe I've missed a few days, but yeah, I'm trying to stick to it.
Let's pretend that you missed 60 some odd days. No, I'm being serious. How can you learn seriously? As long as you've been doing this at the level that you've been doing this. Is it possible to learn 300 new things to do on a guitar in a year?
Oh, absolutely. You could learn 300,000 new things.
Oh, stop. What are you going to learn?
Yeah.
What are you going to learn that you don't know? What'd you learn yesterday?
Yesterday, I learned some pentatonic patterns that, the pentatonic scale is the most popular scale in modern rock. And there's a billion ways you can attack it. And I just look up, all right, check out these pentatonic licks and different ways to manipulate the pentatonic scale.
Totally was not expecting you to have an answer of what you learned yesterday.
I didn't do yesterday.
Yesterday I took a day off. Yeah. I was rehearsing, goddammit.
And it might take me 20 minutes to do that. It's not something that's going to take me all day long. People nowadays have no excuse not to be the best at what they want to do because YouTube is the best teacher in the universe right now. YouTube is better than any college in the world. You can learn anything you'd ever want to do on YouTube. And that's with the guitar. I just get on there if I want to learn something. It's great to be able to have an audio and visual. So, and then you can get, I don't know why my computer got all jacked up, but I used to have a looper device on my YouTube so I could just chop up a little 5-second clip and loop it and speed it and slow it down. And there's no way you can't learn if you with today's technology.
So, like, do you not to get real nerdy, but do you seek out I have no idea what you'll learn tomorrow on the guitar, but is it like, do you just fall in a rabbit hole, or do you know what you're seeking out?
Both. Sometimes I'll have a specific goal in mind. Sometimes I'll learn something that just spins off into other things where I want to just get deeper into that idea. But a lot of times, you just can't fall asleep at night. You put on the headphones and you're just kind of Googling around and you find something you want to get into. And it's fun as a guitar player to dive into something completely different than what you're doing, like get into some country or get into some jazz or something different than the rock stuff. There's just such a huge, it's a never ending thing. You could be, I remember Keith Richards saying he was like 75 years old at the time. He's like, I've just scratched the surface, and he's been playing his entire life.
Now, for your resolutions, though, is that always going to be music related, or are you going to say, like, you know what, I want to learn how to change out a bathroom faucet?
Yeah, no, I think my New Year's resolution about 4 years ago was to learn how to paint, or to become just to dabble around with painting. And I did that for, I stuck with that for about 4 months, and then I just got sidetracked with music. And it's one of those things where it's like, wait, I'm spending too much time painting. I need to be, I have a record to write.
Good for you. Good for you. That's awesome. All right, let me get into a couple of other things real quickly. I was reading a Q&A that you did recently. Someone asked you, when was the last time that you threw up? Your answer was on tour in Italy that you had too much to drink. Was that just like a couple of months ago?
No, that was years ago. I'm not a big, I don't throw up a lot unless I have the flu. Oh. I remember that night. Oh man, that was a horrible day. So we were in Italy and we went to this bar that was playing metal, and everybody's just sitting there playing Metallica songs on the radio, getting drunk together, doing air guitar and stuff. I'm like, this is the most fun I've had in a long time. So I just drank. And one of those things where I just woke up in the middle of the night with my stomach uneasy. I knew I wasn't going to make it to the bathroom, and I just threw up right in the spot. And then the next morning, my tour manager came over and he opened my drip. He's like, oh man, what happened to you? And then me and my brother needed to get some food because we were just feeling horrible. And we went to a McDonald's over there, and a soccer game had just let out. And all these drunk, rowdy soccer players were starting fights in the McDonald's. And we're in the middle of this fight. I'm like, I'm about as hungover as I've ever been in my life, and I'm about to get in a fight here in a McDonald's. So it wasn't a good day. Alcohol is bad. Is
there a rule though about, like, you'll always hear like musicians and bands and stuff talk about like the rules of the bus. Why do I feel like puking on the bus is not a great idea? Like, I feel like that would violate the rules.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not somebody's going to say, hey, you broke the rules, because I'm pretty straight-laced most of the time. That is a once-in-a-decade kind of thing where if I drink that much. I do not like drinking a lot. I like drinking with my friends, but I don't like getting drunk. That's just, it takes way too long to recover. It makes me ruin 2 or 3 days after the fact. So nobody's going to make that rule for me.
Well, when that next day in a decade comes up, please call me. I want to go.
You want to party.
Please call me. And by the way, in that same interview, Mark, I was reading where you almost got an autographed, and I know you're a baseball guy, but you almost got an autographed Babe Ruth baseball from David Wells, but you wouldn't eat a piece of sushi?
Well, it wasn't just that simple. It was, so we're out at, we're at a Disney, I think it might have been Wolfgang Puck's or something. It was all the Creed guys, and it was Dave Wells, and they laid out this big platter of sushi. And it wasn't just like California rolls. It was like eel and like tongue and like weird stuff. And they knew I was a picky eater, and because I was already being picky with the menu as it is, because they didn't have anything that I wanted to eat. And, so they said, all right, eat a piece of sushi and I'll give you, whatever it is. I said, no way. And then Dave Wells and everybody, they had a few drinks. And he's like, all right, I'll give you a Babe Ruth signed baseball card. Staff was going to give me I forget what it was. Scott Phillips was going to give me a drum set. This is like it was just piling on, and I'm like, all right. So they picked the nastiest thing in front of us, which I think was eel or something, and I'm like, all right, I'd be stupid not to do it, and I bit it, and it felt like I was biting into my own tongue. The texture of it was like, it was the nastiest. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I gagged, and I spit it out.
For a Babe Ruth, I would eat your tongue for a Babe Ruth autograph card. Are you kidding me?
Hey, I felt the same way in my mind, but when I went into it, I couldn't completely. I wasn't man enough.
Ah, damn it. Are you writing a book?
I am writing a book.
Are we writing a memoir, or are you writing like a? No.
I'm not one of the, I'm not. Yeah, I don't think my life is as interesting as that to write a book about myself. I'm writing my second fictional book.
I gotcha. You know what? Good for you. And then the other thing, Mark, that I want to compliment you on or commend you on, the Mark Tremonti sings Frank Sinatra. Dude, that stuff, I mean, and listen, you can even strip away the cause and everything behind it, but that is so good. I love that project so much.
Oh, thank you, man. That's probably been the most exciting got to do, and I've done maybe 5 shows now, and I just want to keep going with it. I got a show coming up in a couple of months in New York, and I just want to keep booking them. It's just a lot of fun.
That one in New York, I was reading about that. That's like a whole, I know the whole project is for charity. And by the way, congratulations. If you're not at $1 million, I know you're sniffing right around raising $1 million, and that's fantastic. Right, the show in New York that you mentioned, that's also like a big charity event. There's like a dinner and an auction, like a big gala up in New York.
Yeah, it's the NDSS gala up in New York, and it's one of those things where you could buy the ticket for the dinner, or you can also buy a ticket just for the show afterwards. But it's going to be a lot of fun, and these folks that work for NDSS are just the best, and all their hearts are in the right places, and it's an honor to be partnered with them, and we've got some other big things in the works. We're I don't want to jinx it, but we're in talks with Advent Health about developing the most comprehensive Down syndrome center here in Orlando, Florida. So it could be this could be the flagship program that kind of goes across the country. So if we can start something like that, that's what I'd look back on my life and be like, all right, that was the best thing you did.
Wow. What are you supposed to say? No, yeah. You know what? You had some good songs too. No, are you kidding? That would be unbelievable. And then last thing, Mark, and I want to get your opinion on something. You are a massive pinball machine nerd.
Oh yeah.
And we had done a story. This goes back a couple of months ago on the air. If somebody were to say what's the greatest pinball machine of all time, you would say
Medieval Madness.
Okay, never mind then.
No.
Never mind.
Which one is yours?
I'm not saying it's mine. Listen, I like pinball machines, nowhere to the freakish level that you do. Not many human beings are at that level. But no, when we were talking about it, everybody said that the Addams Family was such a groundbreaking pinball machine that it's got to be up there as one of the greats of all time.
I owned it for years. It's that there's a guy named Pat Lawler who designed that machine, and he's done, I don't know if you're familiar with Funhouse and Twilight Zone.
Right.
Some of the most popular machines ever made were made by Pat Lawler. Now Pat Lawler makes pinball machines for a good friend of mine, Jersey Jack, who makes Jersey Jack pinball. And he just came out with the Toy Story pinball machine, and he did Dialed In, a bunch of other machines. But anyways, he's a great pinball maker. It's more of like an old school vibe that he makes.
Right.
It's absolutely great machine, Addams Family, for sure.
Excellent. Alter Bridge Pawns and Kings is out now. They will be at the Fillmore Silver Spring with Mammoth WVH. That show is February 4th. Mark Tremonti, very nice to talk to you. I appreciate the time, sir.
Hey, thank you so much.
Hey, you got it. Thanks, Mark.